Wow. Philip, you ought to be a preacher. Y'all heard a more religious proposition? Let's bring it back to economics. I'm a professor of business at Presidio School of Management, and I teach my students to follow the money. Are major reductions in carbon worth the money? That's what we're debating. We're not debating whether or not we can control the climate. We're not even debating what the climate will be. We're debating, are major reductions worth the money? And that's the only question, for better or for worse, that we're going to talk about tonight. My company walked into a company that has big warehouses, about 1 million square feet of warehouse, and boxes stacked floor to ceiling. Every 10 feet in the ceiling were 500-watt light bulbs shining down on the tops of boxes. The guys who worked down below had task lighting so they could see where they were going. We said, y'all have a switch? $650,000 saved the first year. Now, that is not a cost to deliver major carbon reductions. Similarly, we worked with another company that left its 630,000 computers and monitors on 24/7 because they had an urban myth that you have to leave your computers on. And we pointed out to them that actually IT did not need them left on 24/7. And a simple company policy that when you turn your computer off, you turn it all the way off, saved them $700,000 the first year. Again, zero cost. Now, this is what's called low-hanging fruit. We could cut half the carbon in the country. Let's look at what we're actually spending on carbon. This country borrows somewhere between $1 billion and $2 billion a day to buy oil. We borrow the money from the Chinese and we send it to the Saudis. As Jim Woolsey, who used to run the CIA, said, we're fighting both sides of the war on terror. We pay for our guys and we send money to the guys who pay for the other guys. Now, this is daft. We know how to eliminate at least 3/4 of that oil just through smarter technology. So now you and I and the rest of American taxpayers are going to bail out Detroit because they failed to do this. How about we attach a little string to that money? If we're going to own the car companies now, let's ask them to build the state-of-the-art cars. Any of you ever seen a Tesla? You want to go real fast? Yeah. We can build safer, faster, peppier, sportier, better cars that use no energy. Now, electric car. Okay, you go to Google. Google recently decided that they could make all of their parking lots carports with solar on them. Payback within 10 years. Oh, 10 years is a long time. No, it's not. A 2-year payback, which is what people say they demand, is a 70% return on investment. You guys on Wall Street, you tell me where you can get 70% return on investment in today's market. So Google put in these solar, and they have little pull-down plugs. You bring your electric car, you plug it in. My next car is going to be a plug-in hybrid. My friend Jim Woolsey, the ex-head of the CIA, drives a plug-in hybrid. He runs on solar on his roof, has a little bumper sticker on it, Osama bin Laden hates my car. Major reductions in carbon are worth the money. Chicago Climate Exchange. This is a voluntary group of now over 400 businesses, my company is a member, who have pledged to cut their carbon. They have reduced carbon collectively 8%. There's no law that says they have to. You don't need taxes. You don't need draconian regulation. We simply need to be smart about how we use energy. They represent companies, 20% of the Dow Jones Industrials and 17% of stationary emissions in this country. California, AB 32, new study out from the University of California, fully implementing the Republican Governor Schwarzenegger's cap on carbon and trading regime, would deliver to California $78 billion in increased state gross product. $78 billion and 400,000 new jobs. Florida, another Republican governor, Republican task force study that cutting carbon emissions 51% below the business as usual projections would add $28 billion to state gross product, several 100,000 new jobs. Arizona, even more, 60-some% cut below now, $5 billion and 200,000 new jobs. There are now studies from 20 states. You add it up, if this country implemented aggressive climate protection measures, $500 billion in increased savings to the country, and 5 million green jobs. That's where the 5 million green jobs number comes from. So let's bring it home. 4 Times Square down the road. Looks like a normal building, costs the same to build, uses half the energy, gets its energy from photovoltaics in the skin of the building and a fuel cell in the basement. This building can never be turned off. So in the 2003 Northeast blackout, remember that? People came from blocks around to camp out underneath it. Genuine homeland security. If we want security, if we want an economy, if we want to have jobs in this country, we will invest in energy efficiency and renewable energy because it's what gives us the greatest rate of return. Oh, and it also solves the climate problem, assuming there is one. I mean, let's assume the climate skeptics are right. Everything you would do if you were simply a profit-maximizing capitalist is exactly what you would do if you were scared to death about climate change. Little company across the river, Voltaics. My friend Peter Deneufel is chair of this little company. They make the gas precursors for photovoltaics. Because they're selling a lot of their gases to China, they are now a net exporter. They're making their county a net exporter to China. Again, if we want an economy, we can unleash the greatest prosperity humanity has ever known. And Bjorn, I share your care for people in developing countries. Where are we going to get the money? We're going to get it because we're going to invest in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and those investments are worth the money.
Hunter Lovins, time is up. Thank you. Thank you, Hunter Lovins.